music, athletics, arts, and entertainment. The Desert Tiger Podcast with Colton Geschwagner.
Comedy comes in all different types and forms. There's slapstick, there's dark comedy, insult comedy, sketch, satire, prop, and many other forms. Typically here in North America, the most common topics that comedy seems to go for are everyday life and politics. Although alternative comedy does touch these subjects, it's less in a punchline and more in a journey. A journey that it can include many different types and forms of comedy, mixing characters with observation, improvisation, slapstick, satire, and so much more. It's more of a conversation with the audience than it is a string of jokes. Whether it's through one-liners or a set that seems completely random but comes together in the end as the performer wraps it all up. It's surreal, and that's what makes it beautiful. Its rise to popularity through various comics in the early 2000s makes many question just exactly how alternative it is anymore, but many comics still keep its core alive. Nick Vatterott is one comedian who is doing exactly that. His bizarre characters and side-splitting stories that get out of hand quick helped him earn the Andy Kaufman Award back in 2011. An award that's given out to those who aren't afraid to take risks with their audience, who aren't afraid to work outside the conventional boxes of comedy and get away from the ordinary. Nick's stand-up and writing abilities have taken him across North America, performing numerous venues and stages, including appearances on Conan and The Late Night Show with Jimmy Fallon. The Hollywood Reporter named him one of their breakout performers at the prestigious Just for Laughs Comedy Festival in Montreal when Nick made his debut there. Chicago Magazine has also named Nick the funniest man in Chicago back when he lived there, and he has written for both MTV and Comedy Central, working on Mashup, the Critics' Choice Awards, and Goreburger. In 2014, Nick released For Amusement Only through Comedy Central, a CD that has received acclaim from Vulture, Laughspin, and Sidesplitter. I recently caught up with Nick when he was in Kelowna for the Just for Laughs Alternative Comedy Tour. This is episode 12 of the Desert Tiger Podcast, and thank you for tuning in. I am your host, as always, Colton Geschwagner. Before we get to our interview, you know that we like to play for you a song, as always. And today, our song comes to us from Pure October, whose bass player Spencer Peck messaged me on Facebook to tell me about his band, Pure October. Pure October are a pop rock triplet hailing from St. Louis, led by singer-songwriter Alex Edith, bassist Spencer Peck, and drummer Tom Getterman. Combining the energy and aggression of pop-punk with the strong standing sentiments of hard rock music, Pure October has delivered many hit songs and shared the stage with bands such as Dangerous Kids, Vanna, The Former Me, Alistar Hennessy, and the Nearly Deads, and have taken their hometown by storm and hope to take the rest of America by storm soon too. Today I'm going to play a song for you by Pure October entitled Superheroes Can't Save Everyone.
I was a kid who dreamed of flying away, stopping bullets and saving Lois Lane. Who would have known that she wouldn't want to be saved? Now I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I never wanted this, I only wanted you. When you call it quits, I sure hope you never see it through. You dumb attempt to suicide, a mix of selfish lies and kryptonite. Now I'm wondering if it's worth the fight. Well, I guess I'll save the world minus one tonight. And I'll fly to your rescue, but you'll say that jump, I'll let you fall. And I'll fly to your rescue, but you'll say that you don't need one. And it hurts to let you go, but sometimes superheroes can't save everyone. And I'll fly to your rescue, but you'll say that you don't need one. And it hurts to let you go, but sometimes superheroes can't save everyone.
The Desert Tiger Podcast.
And boom. Alright, we are here with funny guy, comedian Nick Vatterott. How's it going?
I'm in Kelowna, man. It can't go any better.
Well, that's fantastic. I know, right? Mountains are gorgeous.
Look at this
The
view. I gotta say, most of the tour, the view out the window has been just of an alley or
Yeah,
something.
definitely don't really have much for landscape outside of the city for sure.
It's pretty. Yeah, it's pretty. These mountains out here. It's amazing. This is definitely the most beautiful city on the tour so far.
All right, so have you been out to BC before? Like, if this is your first time in Kelowna, have you ever been in Vancouver to perform, or?
Vancouver, yeah. First time I was on a cruise ship actually, and we stopped in Vancouver as part of the.
Really?
As part of the. I didn't really perform there. I don't know if I've actually performed in BC. I've been to Vancouver a bunch of times.
Okay.
No, that's right. I did open up for TJ at some big theater, the Vogue Theater, maybe, or
Oh,
something like
yeah,
that.
definitely.
Yeah, right next.
Vogue.
Is it right next to some weird pinball place?
I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah. So we did that. That was pretty fun.
That's awesome.
That's a great city too. And
love it.
We're going to Victoria, which I have never been to Victoria. I hear it's beautiful.
The island is amazing.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. I'm actually going to be in Vancouver itself on this weekend. I wish I could go to the island, but I won't have time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's Sasquatch out there, right?
Oh, I'm pretty sure there is.
Want to
Find them one day.
some Bigfoot and just get some get some oysters and maybe some of that BC green, you know? Which that's what I love out here so far. Like, you know, I'm keeping very close eye on the marijuana. July 2018, that seems to be when it's like going legal.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like throughout the country, it's still sort of vague. Like I remember in Toronto, I was just like, so is it legal here? And just the whole audience was like, yeah, no, I don't know. What do you say? You know, like it's sort of vague. It's like legal, but it's not like
Yeah.
like there's stores where you can smoke, but you can't buy it anywhere.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, there's lounges in Vancouver where you can go and smoke a hookah, but you can't buy it and walk out with it.
So weird, man. I remember, you know how dabs are a big thing right now? We did dabs. We did so I'm in a group, Heavyweight, with TJ Miller, Brady Novak, Mark Rotterman, and we've been together for like 12, I don't know, some odd years. Too long. I'm aging myself if I say that. But we've been together for a long time, and we did the Just for Laughs Toronto Festival years ago. We had to perform at the Rivoli, you know, the Kids in the Hall, that big theater there. But we were like, this had to have been like, it was a long time ago. It was like 2006 maybe. Mm-hmm. And we were, you know, we'd gotten some weed from some other comic, and then we were like walking around Toronto, and there was this big pot leaf in this store, And then we went in, we walked upstairs, and it was like, yeah, you pay $5, they let you smoke inside. And this guy, he had, which I guess I would find out years later was dabs.
Yeah.
But I was just like, what is this blowtorch liquid thing he's doing? And he was like, do you want to try it? And I was like, sure. And I can't remember who did it first, if it was like Brady who did it first. But Brady was like, he got so high, he like sat down. He's like, I've never been this high in my life.
Yeah.
He's like, I feel crazy. I don't know what's happening. And so then each of us were like, well, I got to do it. And I just remember we were so tore up. At one point, I remember like we were all looking at each other. I was so high, I looked at him and I go, I know that I know these guys, but I don't know how I know them, or I don't know where we are, how we got here. I knew I had a show that night, but I couldn't tell you one sketch that was going to be in our show. And at one point, Brady leans forward and he goes, all right, let's just say that we can all just safely assume that we're not going to be able to do the show tonight. And we all just like kind of nodded our head yes and like, yeah, man, it was like, I think I threw up in the bathroom. It was bad. And then by the time the show rolled around that night, I was just regular high. But that was like, and then years, I didn't know for years, I didn't know what we did. And then dabs became a big thing. And I was like, God, we did dabs. Like Toronto was doing it before anybody,
Oh, right. I remember we had them like in Regina like once a while beforehand, and like me and one of my friends were at our buddy's house, and you gotta try this out. So like I take my first one and I'm like, holy crap. Like my buddy takes his, and for the next 20 minutes he doesn't say a single thing. and it's just like, man, I can't talk, I need water, and then we need to go.
It's like,
I can't handle it.
It's so bad. It's not even fun.
I can't handle it.
Have you done them since then?
Yeah, I actually have my green card, so I like have some quite often. I have a pen for it. So
do you not get it? I don't know. I've done them once or twice, and I get so high that I'm like, this is more like work. This isn't even a relaxing thing anymore. Now I'm just like, just letting my brain sort of battle itself.
It's like if I don't want to burn out and I need to get high, I do it because it's like it puts me in the state where I'm constantly like thinking.
Yeah.
Because it's constantly just like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
But you just never end up getting there. Like if I end up smoking, like there's always the chance that it's like, oh, I might end up passing out before I end up having to drive home.
Right. Did you ever do Salvia?
Oh, that's what I started out with.
Who starts out with Salvia?
My friends thought it was a great idea, so I was like,
because you can legally get it, I guess.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
It's easier to get.
Exactly. It was way easier to get. I could just walk into the local head shop and just pick it up.
Yeah.
So it was super easy, and then we ended up going out to, like, my buddy's farm to do it.
Okay.
And he had, like, this brick, like, basketball court outside.
Right.
And I thought it was spikes everywhere, and I was like trying to like walk amongst the spikes, and then I threw up, and then like his dog came up to try and comfort me, and like I can't even remember what I thought the dog was, and it was like I'm just panicking.
Some sort of spirit animal.
Oh, exactly, and it's just like I'm just staring out into the horizon, and my friends are like, "Man, we thought you were just gone."
I can't imagine starting with Salvia and then smoking weed after that had to been what is this like?
See,
nothing.
I actually smoked it the exact same day.
Okay.
Because it was like my friend's brother right away was just like, his name was Jason. He's just like, oh man, like you guys had him smoke salvia before he smoked pot. Like you guys are dicks. So it's just like, I'm going to go get high. And I was like, you say this will help, right?
Right.
Like, I just feel, like, gross, and salvia just isn't my thing. And he's like, yeah, this will help. So it was like, my first day smoking pot was actually the exact same day.
I guess, you know what? You can wade in, or you can just jump, do a cannonball into the mine, I guess.
I guess, right? Do you have any good salvia stories, or?
I think I did it twice, and then The first time was like I used to work at this restaurant, and there was this one sort of like fratty like dude that I was like buddies with, you know.
Yeah.
And like this dude was hilarious. He was just like, because you know how you like hate frat guys.
Oh, of course.
But then like you'll
they're supposed to be dicks, but like there's always like that one connection you have with them. Like shit, he's actually an okay guy.
Right? Yeah, you get why they're like why they could be fun, like which I also like. I guess I think every group of all people are terrible.
Everyone has their shortfalls, right?
Every just men and Americans and just everybody is like if you but individually like people are great. You can just
of course, right?
Frat guys are terrible, but then you like work with the dude and he's hilarious and he's like just a meathead and loves working out and drinking beers and you guys get a kick out of each other. This dude like used to like he was hilarious, and he used to tour with Matchbox 20.
Oh shit, no way.
I mean, not tour with them, like follow them like a deadhead.
Really?
Yeah. And I always thought that was so funny. I'd be like, but don't they do the same? The whole point of touring with like Fish or Grateful Dead is that they do a different set every time they perform.
Yeah. Most bands don't do that.
Yeah, Matchbox 20 has not even 20 songs, I don't think, and he just loved. So he's hilarious, and he was a dude that was just like, dude, we smoked this. And frat guys, especially in college, like a lot of them, like they didn't smoke weed. They made fun of people who smoked weed.
Yeah,
and he was like, dude, he's like, we got this weed that's so good you trip. And like you've heard that a million times,
of course,
by amateurs, And I've smoked so much weed. I got an 8-foot bong at my house. I got a 3-chamber hookah. I'm like, I'm not gonna trip, dude. I'm not gonna trip.
Yeah.
So he's saying this for like months. He keeps telling me.
Mm-hmm.
So one night after work, he's like, dude, do you know how I keep telling you about that weed that'll make you trip, man? And I was like, he's like, do you want to come to my buddy's house and we'll smoke it? I'm like, sure. Yeah. I'll humor him.
Of course, right? We'll see.
We'll see. I mean, at worst case scenario, I'll just be very high.
Exactly.
I didn't know it was salvia. I don't think he knew it was salvia. He just thought it was weed.
Man.
And I literally smoked it, and the smoke was inside of me. And then I looked at both of them, and I blow it all out. And first thing I said is I go, what have you guys done to me? And they, of course, they start dying laughing. And then I was like, okay, he always told me it's like 15 minutes and it wears off, because I had that real high thought of like, am I going to be like this forever?
Of course, right? Where it's like, oh no,
I'm a crazy guy. Yeah, just always.
I'm gonna be that guy who thinks he's a carrot forever.
I gotta tell my mom I'm a carrot. She's gonna cook me up and eat me and serve me to the neighbors. But then I was like, all right, he was right about it. Literally making me trip.
Oh, so yeah, of course, right.
So once I was like, he's probably right about it being over in 50 minutes, and I kind of like enjoyed it for the next 15 minutes, and it was pretty fun. And then another time I smoked it, me and my buddy, I was like, all right, we got 15 minutes before it wears off. And he's like, what do you want to do? I was like, let's just start running. He's like, okay. So we opened the door, just started running. We got to a tree. We just started climbing the tree. Mm-hmm. And then it was funny. It wore off halfway up the tree. And just me and my buddy are up this tree. And I was like, I'm done. He's like, yeah, I'm done. He's like, should we get out of this tree? And the tree's like right on the side of this busy intersection and stuff. I mean,
oh man,
drugs, man.
Yeah, we did. We climbed trees on mushrooms once.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah, it was an amazing experience because like I didn't even feel it. Like I didn't feel like it was actually like heavy on my arms or anything. Like I could just hang there and like just swing. It was like we were playing football and there's a bunch of frat guys around us and like they're just staring at us because they're like, why the fuck do these kids enjoy football so much?
That's so funny.
Just like
it makes a lot of things
like, I felt like a dog, right? And it was just like, this is so satisfying. I understand what fetch is like.
That's pretty funny. Yeah, I wonder if a dog's mind is just a guy is just like high all the time. You know,
it's just like constantly enjoyed and just like, oh my god, patterns. Oh my god, people. Oh my god,
recognizing things. Oh, it's all connected. You know, food. And fuck these cats.
Fuck these cats. They're in a shitty mood and they're always ruining my vibe, man.
Just get out of here, you cat. Cats are the frat guys.
Yeah, exactly, right? They're the guys that are sitting there telling you, like, it's bad for you.
Yeah.
You're going to have a bad trip. And you're like, no, you're fucking with my mind, bro.
Fucking cat. That's so funny.
Oh, my God. Oh, that's awesome. So you're currently on the alternative tour with Reese Dalby and TJ Miller.
Alternative comedy tour.
Alternative comedy.
Reese Darby, TJ Miller.
How's that
just
going for you
laughs.
guys?
It's a blast, man.
Yeah?
It's absolutely a blast, yeah. TJ and Reese are obviously just great. You know, I think one of the cool things about this tour is that as comedians, we don't get a chance to see each other do long sets a lot. You know, like I feel like in New York and LA, even Chicago, you know, like you're on these shows where it's like 8 comics on a show. Everyone does 7 to 10 minutes, and you get to you know enjoy everybody in that fashion, but you don't get a chance to really like watch somebody own a room for an hour.
No, exactly. Actually, like capture them and hold them.
Yeah.
It takes real talent, right? Like,
and also everyone does it a different way too.
Definitely.
And like it's TJ obviously I've known for I mean obviously I'm familiar with him because I've known him for so long.
Yeah.
And he's he's so improvisational that it's never the same show. Sometimes it's never even. It goes everything from certain stories and bits have nuances in them to every night to there's just whole chunks that are improvised based on something that happened to that day.
Yeah.
And that mixed in with his sort of a lot of pre-planned absurdity bits. He's doing this mime thing right now. It's really fun. And just in his crowd interaction is just the best of anybody around. And so it's very fun to watch him on the room that way. It's so funny. And then Reese is just like an amazing performer. I mean, he's just like, to be able to tour with somebody who's just so good, so funny, and just like, he's just a very, he's very physical. He's got these stories with all these amazing characters and bouncing around, just utilizes the entire stage. And so I feel like both of those guys own their, sort of chunk in a different way. And it's very fun and inspiring to watch these guys like do that, and I'm, and like it's the alternative comedy tour, and like, I think TJ is very, he's so interactive that it's sort of like I've seen how that sort of helps him connect with the audience to sort of make the more alternative bits sort of resonate with everybody. And Reese is just I saw him at the Comedy Store like a week before, we were going on tour together.
Yeah.
And, I was telling him, which, I was trying to compliment him in the way that like, I think it's so interesting that he's like, the Comedy Store is a very clubby room.
Yeah.
I feel like alternative comedy doesn't always work in those rooms. And he's just funny, so he's just able, like, the room doesn't matter to him. It doesn't matter if it's a clubby room or an alt room. He's, he just does his thing and crushes, and that's inspiring too, to see like, somebody sort of like just kind of stick to their guns and make it work everywhere,
Yeah,
so the tour's been all that. I mean, and then also like seeing all these cities and going to all these Canadian cities I've never been to is a lot of fun too, Get to do Winnipeg, where like the Charlie Chaplin got to perform in that theater.
Yeah,
the Burton Cummings Theater.
Yeah, no doubt. That's amazing, right?
Yeah, and these venues are just huge, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. Getting to perform in front of a bigger audience, especially for a longer period of time, is way different than that much more crowded lineup where you're just like, you get to experience everybody, but once again, like you said, like you kind of get robbed of the full experience of everybody.
Right, yeah. It's just logistically impossible unless, even in New York, no one's even doing really, in New York and in LA, I don't know where anybody in LA is. I guess maybe the Improv, but I'm just not seeing anyone do like our sets. I mean, in New York, I think at Gotham Comedy Club, people in Caroline's, And then I guess like you got your Chappelles and the people that will do an hour no matter where they go.
Oh, exactly. Like the key name comedians.
Right. But outside of those places, I mean, everyone's doing their hour on the road. They're doing them in in the towns across the country.
Yeah.
So you just don't get a chance to see everybody do their thing, and so that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's awesome. Like, how do you fit into the whole mix? Like, you're the MC type position.
Yeah, I'm a third wheel. I'm I'm the, I'm like, they couldn't find a babysitter, so they brought me to the party.
Oh, God, you're the babysitter?
Shit. They wanted to leave me at home and have someone watch me, but I was just, all my babysitters, they quit. I made them quit.
Yeah,
and,
of course.
no, I mean, it's, I'm not used, it's interesting, as you sort of come up, it's interesting, when you're a comic, you need to figure out open mic rooms. And open mic rooms are just making other comics laugh.
Yeah.
So the second you do that, now you have to get into clubs, which those aren't comic audiences. So you have to make sure your sensibility that you learned making other comics laugh.
Yeah.
Now you got to make it you have to. That has nothing to do with you, or not as much to do with you making regular people laugh, non-comics, and then the second you can do that, then you get in and you have to start hosting, which is something you were not doing before. So now you have to learn hosting, and then the second you learn hosting, then you go up and you start featuring or middling, which now you're not doing any of the things that you learned, to host, and so it's funny, like every time you learn something, it gets you to a next thing. It all helps you.
Yeah.
Having good host chops helps you when you're middling or featuring or headlining, but it's just not the same muscle. So I haven't hosted in a very long time.
Yeah.
Because I've been doing my thing, and so to go kind of return back to host, is a different muscle. But it's fun. These audiences have been great. They're like, it's not like when I first started hosting, when I went to a room and half the people got free tickets, or were dragged there by their, boyfriend or girlfriend, or just people were looking for something to do, don't even really like comedy or whatever. People are amped for these shows.
Yeah, they actually want to see comedy. It has that Just for Laughs name attached to it, so they actually know what they're getting into.
Yeah. So that's pretty great. It makes my job a lot easier. Yeah,
without a doubt.
Yeah. And so it's fun to sort of be a host type person, sort of welcome them, try to sort of just connect with them in a way, and then try to ease into some of the more alternative, sensibilities I have in that 13-minute window I have to open up with.
Is your window a little, spread out? Are you in between both of the guys?
Yeah, I do about, about 13-ish at the top, and then I do another 5 in between Reese and TJ.
Okay. So 18 minutes altogether isn't bad at all.
Yeah, it's fun, and I've been, mixing it up on the tour, because I feel I just kind of it keeps it interesting for me.
Definitely.
And,
and some rooms are different than others, right?
Yeah. I do feel like I go to one place and I kind of feel, there's also been a couple sets where I went out there with one plan and then it just went, I wound up doing a completely different act than I intended on, just on the energy of the moment and that audience and that show. And, and I mean, it's I'm doing less time, so I feel like, why not spread, instead of, I'm not doing an hour every night, but I guess I'm doing an hour over the course of 5 or 6 shows. So I kind of
gives you a lot of room.
Do the hour over the course of 5 or 6 days. But I'm so gracious to, be part of this awesome tour. And,
definitely. It's a stacked lineup.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
That's awesome. It's good to be a part of. So you kind of talked about building up in comedy and all that. So where are you from and how did you get your start inside of comedy? When did you decide this was something you could possibly be a part of?
I think definitely, as the kid who all his friends were like, you should do comedy growing up and everything. Which is always funny when you bomb and then someone's like, you shouldn't do this. And you're like, this was never my idea. Like, I'm only doing this because everyone told me to, and now you're telling me not to do. Those early days are fun and confusing when you're eating shit and you're like, I thought it'd be fun, but it was really the encouragement of everybody.
Yeah.
To say to try this. And then I think I was in the University of Missouri, and there was I was doing a couple things. I wrote this humor column for the newspaper called My Humble Opinion. It got pretty good. It was received very well. And people on campus like really liked it and very supportive of it. And so that was like my first encouraging thing in comedy that I could write. I could try to be funny in this thing and people would be like, yeah, it's funny,
Yeah.
I was like, okay, so it's not just my buddies that think I'm funny. I can be funny to people that don't even know me. So that's like the very first thing. And so then there was this improv group, Comedy Wars. My roommate was like, hey, do you want to do this comedy group? And I was like, this improv group, and I did that and became friends with these guys that I'm still friends with to this day. You know, some of my closest friends, and that was a lot of fun. And then the local comedy club had a contest, and and one of the guys in the improv group signed us all up, and we all did stand up for the first time there.
Oh, really?
And then I just started eating shit in school. I was failing at all my classes. I was doing terribly, but the only things I wasn't doing bad at that I was excited about doing were the newspaper article, the improv every week, and then when these stand-up contests would come around. And so Second City theater came from Chicago through Columbia, Missouri, and I was like, these guys are they're touring, doing the same thing we're doing every week. That's a job? No way. So I was like, I want to move to Chicago because I bet you could do stand-up there. And so then I moved to Chicago, and that's where I started doing sketch and improv and stand-up, and TJ and all these other comics, Brady and Mark and Heavyweight, my sketch group, and all these, and just kept doing it and doing it and doing as much as I could get my hands on. And then, was there for like 7 years, and then eventually I was always curious on what was going on stand-up wise in New York, so I eventually went to New York.
Well, it's the Big Apple, right? It's where dreams either thrive or die. It's
where stand-up started. And,
exactly.
And it's the biggest stand, so I had to go up there and see what was happening, and I went,
So how was the New York experience for you once you got there? Like, what were your expectations going in, and how did it receive you?
I think it's fine. I always think New York is like the best and worst city in the world. Yeah. I really do. And I think I have, I met a lot of great friends up there. I met a lot of amazing comedians up there, and a lot of great places to perform there. And I think I think New York definitely made me a way better comic.
Okay.
I think Chicago is really great for feeding the creative aspect of performing,
definitely.
Trying things out, doing different things. And then New York, I don't know, but I don't know. I also have I don't know. I think I also thought things were happening up there that I got up there that weren't really happening.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot of things I loved about the New York comedy scenes. A lot of things I was sort of, I guess, disappointed in it.
Wasn't quite as big as you expected it to be.
Might have been too big.
Okay.
It might have been. It might have been a thing where in Chicago you could kind of go up. If you kind of went out every night for a couple months, you eventually got a sense of everything that was happening in the scene.
Yeah.
Everybody who was in the scene. New York, I would spend years there, and I would meet a comic who was also spent years there, and we never, we're both like, did you just move here? No, I've been here for 7 years. Did you just move here? No, I've been here for 10 years. Oh, gee, And I don't know. There was a lot of like, I don't know. You know, people like, you know, no one watches each other. They do their set and then they leave, you know, or they come in right before their set, which I understand when you're running around doing as many sets.
Well, that's what a lot of people will do is they'll try and book as many places as they can, and they'll just jump on transit and they'll get to the next place, hopefully in time. And,
which is great, which I love that, you know?
Mm-hmm. But it's not really supportive of the scene at all.
You know, maybe it's like the idea of like, you're always going to maybe have an affinity for when you started out.
Yeah.
You know, and like those conversations and those people and those experiences, maybe you just sort of like, you know, you look back on those days, you know, and to compare anything to that is unfair, you know.
Well, it's hard because it's also fresh and it's all new back then, right? Where it's all a fresh experience, and then you're experiencing it for the first time. And then after a while, it just becomes like, well, New York, I thought it was going to be different, but it's not really what you ever thought it was going to be. And then it's like you sort of like start to miss like what you came from, just because it's like your expectations there were lower than you set the bar, right?
Yeah. You know, I think another huge problem with New York is that okay, so in Chicago, there's nothing to get.
Okay.
Uh-huh. There's nothing to get. There's
dry.
You're just so
comedy drought. No laughs to be had.
Well, I mean, I think like job wise. You know?
Okay.
Like there's nothing to get, so there's nothing to lose.
Uh-huh.
So I think that fosters a very like interesting, you know, scene where people. They don't feel the need to play it safe. They maybe experiment because there's nothing. Who cares if I crush or I bomb?
Yeah,
I'm still working at TGI Fridays tomorrow. There's still no agents or managers or you know, there's no industry in the audience. I don't know if like New York is just like, because there's like things to get, people are just sort of like, oh, well, so-and-so got this, and so there's animosity towards each other.
A little more cutthroat and a little less supportive.
It's like, it's not as supportive. It's like, by the way, it's still very supportive. There's still like amazing circles of people.
There's still amazing people. New York is huge, and there's got to be a ton of great comics there, right?
It feels weird when it gets, there's some of these guys there that I just thought were like, amazing, you know, girls there, just people that did just amazing stuff, and like I felt the scene didn't really celebrate them as much. Because
it was more of a jealousy than,
I don't know, like there's, you know, God, I don't even want to say names because I want to feel like I don't want that person to hear this and be like, you didn't think it worked out for me, you know. But I mean it in a way of like, there's comics I just thought were brilliant, and I was like, why is the scene not like, this is like the funniest person?
They should be flourishing.
They should be, but instead they're like sort of, you know, building up these like, you know, that's when I first started to realize of like, funny is not the most important thing. I feel like in Chicago, funny was the most important because the comics were talent
should be the most important thing.
Yeah, and it became something else, and you know, and it just sort of you know, I felt like I started getting bored going to shows, you know, and I was just like, you know, I started to become the guy who would leave early because I just got bored, you know.
Just got used to it all.
It's just another guy talking about Trump, you know, 10 guys talking about Trump in a row, 10 guys talking about, it just became the same thing.
It's funny and it's current, but not everybody can do the exact same thing.
It became too small. It became exactly what you're saying.
You boxed yourself in.
It was too similar. I just saw, I would see the same comic go up over and over and over. Now, granted, you know, wildly generally, there were so many amazing, unique, great comedians, or even comedians that were doing things that everybody else was doing. They were just doing it the best of everybody, and they were hilarious, you know. It's sort of that watching people take chances and do different things. It felt watered down. But I also like, it's also, there's so much more of it, you know, like there's just so much I don't know. I think I thought in New York there would be this crazy alternative scene up there.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking about alternative comedy where people were just doing just bizarre and crazy things. And I always felt like the people doing like the most bizarre stuff were sort of shooed aside and were outcasts and not really celebrated. And then like the people that were like...
Well, the people who are willing to push the bar are seen as off because a lot of people don't like change because it's threatening to them and they don't want to adapt with the times, which...
Yeah.
It's like, maybe that's against them, maybe it's not. But if you're unwilling to accept that that's part of comedy, that's against you.
Yeah. I mean, Sam Kinison, who, you know, was alternative in a very not traditionally alternative way.
Yeah.
You know, but I think he's quoted as saying, you know, stand-up as an art form dies if you don't constantly try to expand it.
Without a doubt.
And so, you know, see like, you know, like, I don't know. Yeah. To see people sort of like, you know, the Manhattan, I have a joke about like Manhattan comedy is like, what's the most un-PC thing I can say?
Yeah.
And Brooklyn is, what's the most PC thing I can say? And LA's, I'm a famous surfer. You know, like it's just like I would go to Manhattan shows and it would just be like, you know, just come, pussy, come, pussy, come, fuck this guy, this guy, all this stuff. That being said, you know, and then I would go to Brooklyn and it was all like gender, race, gender, prejudice, race, social commentary, Trump. And it just became the same thing after a while. Don't get me wrong. There was people doing pussy, come, fucking shit that I was losing. I was laughing so hard I was crying.
Yeah.
That are amazing at it. There was people I was seeing in Brooklyn that are doing social commentary, you know, race, prejudice, all this social stuff that I was in tears laughing at. But when everyone's doing it, it's just sort of like...
who stands out if everybody's doing the exact same thing?
If everyone made jokes about 18-wheeler trucks, it would just get, you know... And I also felt it became more... also, I think you start to dance into a dangerous place, which is it becomes less about funny, but more about what's the most offensive thing I can say.
How can you push the issue? Yeah,
and it's like, so Manhattan's like less about funny, more what's the most offensive thing I can say. Brooklyn it's less about funny, what's the most like socially conscious thing I can say. And it's just like, it should just be what's the funniest thing I can say.
Exactly, you know? It's like areas shouldn't be like holding themselves back just by like what the people in that area believe. Like funny is funny.
Yep.
And it's like, that's the beautiful thing about the alternative scene is it's so many different directions. It's so many different possibilities.
Right.
It's so many different options that like it's beautiful, and it's to pigeonhole yourself it's ridiculous.
And
like,
you know, and even alternative comedy, there's a lot of alternative comedy that I hate.
Oh, of
because
course.
it's the same thing. It's alternative just for alternative. It still needs to be funny. You know, you can't be offensive just for offensive, socially conscious just for socially conscious, or alternative just for the sake of alternative. It needs to be funny. It has to have some sort of, it has to have jokes. And
if you do that, you're only going to be able to perform in those areas where those things are accepted. As soon as you try and break out of that, if you can't adapt to the scene in somewhere else, you're going to be a fish in water. Like,
God,
it's like, what are you going to do? Like, there's a million other fish in the sea that are doing the exact same thing.
You have to set yourself apart from everybody.
Exactly.
You can either be Bill Burr and be the funniest guy.
Yeah.
And just be like, well, my thing is I'm the funniest guy. Mm-hmm. I'm the one who doesn't jerk off in front of people. That's my thing. You know, but... yeah, but I mean, like, there's so many times I would see somebody come up and be like, you know, they would just say something, and I can't really think of a good. They'd be like, and I just, you gotta go out and vote, because if you don't vote, and they would have like a 5-minute rant about how people need to vote.
Yeah.
But there was no jokes, and they would end with it by going, yeah, I guess it's not really. There's nothing. This isn't really a joke, but I just, you guys need to vote. And I'm like, you're not telling jokes, man. You're
not a comedian at that point.
You're
funny. A public speaker.
Yeah, you're public. They get public speaking confused with, you know, and then also just like, you know, people going out being like, hey, what are you, what are you from? What are you guys uptight? You know, with these look at these faggots over here. Oh, you guys are uptight, and it's like you just said faggots for no reason. There was no joke in it.
You said it to be edgy.
It's edgy, and there was nothing there. And it's and then now you're yelling at the audience about being uptight. Like they're not uptight. You just didn't have a punchline to the thing, man.
No, exactly. Like you're just trying to push an issue. Sorry.
Now I'm getting you sick. Sorry.
You're just trying to push an issue rather than actually trying to be funny, and that's robbing the people of their time and their money.
And it's robbing yourself, you know?
If they want to hear that stuff, they're gonna go listen to a rally. They're gonna go find that stuff on Facebook or on YouTube. It's already all over the place.
Yeah.
You're a comedian.
Yeah. But yeah, I hope I'm not painting it as too, dwelling too much on the parts that I was sort of annoyed by.
No worries.
There is so much great There is so many like great absurd comics up there, alternative comics, Brooklyn comics that are doing so much stuff, Manhattan comics that just there is a thing that both comics need to, like the one thing that the Brooklyn comics need to learn from the Manhattan comics is to come in and just crush.
Yeah.
Just come in and be fun, just tight material. If you give, if you're given 10 minutes, do 10 minutes of jokes.
Yeah.
Kill it, crush it, because you would see because like a lot of times these, Brooklyn alternative guys, they come up there and they lean on the microphone and they get out a piece of paper and they're like, I don't even know what I want to talk about tonight.
Yeah.
And then they're just like, but then conversely, I think like a lot of the Manhattan guys could be like, step outside of your comfort zone for a little bit, like do I don't know what it is. Bill Burr doesn't need to do characters. Or I mean he's already doing characters, but he doesn't need to like put on a costume. He doesn't need to have some sort of weird sound cue. He doesn't need that.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying everybody needs that, but like I don't know. There's a lot of more experimenting happening in Brooklyn, and I like why not bring that to the comedy clubs?
No, exactly. It's see where you can take it. See what people are willing to laugh to, because anything can be funny if you can push it in the right direction.
Yeah.
So it's just is like once again pigeonholing yourself and not being able to push yourself in your material and possibly see what is funny, what is the next possible big thing in funny.
Yeah.
Is like you can't move forward if you're still stuck behind.
Yep. I mean, it'd be a bummer for stand-up in general if it just continues to be the same thing.
Yeah, okay, so, like, we're talking about, like, comedians improving over the years, and we've talked, like, about how, like, you've gone from, like, different situations in comedy. How has your routine improved, like, throughout that? Like,
I don't know if it's improved, per se. I think I'm a lot more improvisational than I used to be.
Okay.
I think, especially early on, I was very meticulous about every word and moment in my set.
Well, you get a little, like, when you first start out, you're not as comfortable about it, and you're worried that, like, if you say something different or you say, like, you don't say it, like, the right way, that, like, people aren't going to catch it as well. And, like, once you actually start performing a bit, it's like, okay, like, I can actually, like, I can vary this a bit. I can actually, like, feel with it. Like, I can take it and I can take it for a walk.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, once you have a bit or a chunk that you're comfortable in, I think that's, like, the training wheels for improvisation. I don't know the word myself, but, improvising inside of the material is the training wheels to improvising in your set. You tell a joke so many times, you start to riff a tag here or an act out there or add in a thing, and then you get comfortable with that, and then you have these like thoughts on stage that you start getting more confident with exploring and knowing when to pull the parachute on a riff, or know when to heighten it and kind of keep going and exploring and see how far you can kind of take
know when
it.
you have the crowd and know when you're losing them, because that's one actual like it's a real big thing where it's like knowing how to like what your crowd wants and how to capture them. That's important.
Yeah. Reading an audience, knowing what they want, or also like trying to give them something that they didn't expect. You know?
Yeah, definitely, right? Like, if you can surprise them and catch them off guard,
Yeah.
like, that's almost when you make them laugh the most, because it's just... Because they weren't expecting it. They didn't think you were going to go there, like...
I think that's more memorable, too, when people laugh in a way they haven't laughed before.
Exactly, right? Like,
Yeah.
you actually remember that, where it's just like... Because you've heard so many jokes about the same thing, where it's like, 3 people walk into a bar, blah, 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 like... all this other stuff, and where it's like, if it's something that, like, hits you in that different way, it sticks with you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's why Andy Kaufman was, like, made such an impression on me, because I was like, I didn't know you could be like that.
Yeah,
you
right?
know?
Like, he was just so willing to go out there, and he pushed the issues. He wasn't willing to take things out there, and then, like, you completely bring it back.
Yeah.
At the exact same time, like...
Yeah, that Mickey Mouse thing he did. People are like, this is hilarious.
Yeah.
You know? Something I never would have thought of. There are those jokes where you're like, oh, I'm laughing because I thought something like this. But then there's like, this is...
Where it's just absolutely like, where it's, how did somebody come up with this, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like, it's funny, but it's like, how did we get here?
Exactly.
The Desert Tiger Podcast.
I've been thinking a lot about you, and I can't get you off my mind. And it's like you live there, and the rent is way past due, but I think I'll let it go this time. Because to me you're something special. Yeah, you're something special to me. With every little word I say, I just seem to push you away. My mind keeps playing all these stupid little petty games, and it's driving me insane. But I love the way you say my name, 'cause to me you're something special. Yeah, you're something special to me. I know that I love it. Head over heels, I can't rise above it. No, no. You know that you love it. Heart tied in knots, I don't want this feeling to go. Because to me you're something special. Yeah, you're something special to me.
the Desert Tiger Podcast.
Oh, you actually ended up winning the Andy Kaufman Award at one point, did you not?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was 2010,
Something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, that was pretty fun. It's supported. That's a great, the Andy Kaufman Award. It's great that they sort of, his brother sort of is the major proponent.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and his sister's supportive on it too, and like they just sort of try to kind of keep the spirit of him going, and also just sort of celebrate, sort of like taking unique approaches with stand-up comedy.
Yeah, without a doubt, right? Yeah. It's once again it's pushing comedy into new boundaries, and what's more beautiful than finding new places to go?
Yeah. Which I think, I wish there was more of that, celebrating that.
Yes, I agree. Well, it's unfortunately like a lot of people want to do it, so it becomes more of a rat race than it becomes more of a, hey, let's celebrate everybody and let's build the community. And
the audience is also like, alternative means alternative to the mainstream.
Definitely. Exactly. So they don't think that they're going to connect with it.
I think most people connect with, I think they connect with a comedian that they feel is a version of themselves.
Yes.
So if they're like, they see a guy, I think if a lot of, your average frat guy thinks he's like a beer drinking, womanizer.
Yeah.
Maybe not the best terms to use, but, and they see a guy up on there on stage just talking about getting shithoused and dating, or it's why marriage material is like the most, prevalent topic, because everybody can relate to that. Everybody can relate to a guy on stage.
So many people get married or have their friends get married, or everyone can connect to that in some way, form, or fashion, right?
Yeah. So in theory, funny's funny, but that being said, I don't know if sometimes people do. People do weird stuff. Mm-hmm. Comedy clubs a lot of times don't like alternative comedy in there, because they feel like I've seen the audience be like, "What is this? Why is this person doing this?" Mm-hmm. And as a comedian, you're like, "It's funny though. What this person's doing is very funny."
Right.
And they're like, "It doesn't resonate with me on a personal level." I think it's fun. I was talking to my buddy Mike Racine, who's a very funny comic, one time. We were talking about like, it's almost like you have a museum, and you have these paintings up. And like some people are able to like go in and appreciate every painting on an artistic level, or and then some people are like, why aren't the paintings of me?
It's very true.
And if the paintings aren't of them, they're like, yeah, I don't care about it.
I don't care. Like, oh, nice. It's of mountains. I'm a farmer. I don't care about that. Like,
because I would talk to the other people in the Andy Kaufman Awards, and they would be like, yeah, funny should be funny, but I have a hard time making my set work in all these, different, places. That being said, you got a lot of like killer club comics have a hard time making their act work in an alternative room. Yeah. Because the alternative room has the expectation of like, I thought this was going to be a little more unique. And
I thought it was going to be a little more out there, right?
Yeah.
Because we're going to explore a little bit more. We're going to adventure here.
Yeah. It's interesting.
It definitely is. Okay, so you've performed on tons of stages over the years, tons of traveling.
Oh, yeah.
Many places. Do you have any stages that, like, really, like, you feel just, like, made it for you, or just, like, a crowd that was, like, really special, or, like, any memories from the road that...
I think like this, this tour is pretty great.
Yeah.
Probably touring on a cruise ship is probably the thing that pops first into my head.
Yeah.
Because I was touring with Second City, and I was doing like sketch, improv, and stand-up. 3 shows a night, every other night, and it felt like show business. It felt like costume changes and running around and running lines and writing stuff. Because if we were in Egypt that day, and then we could write a sketch about the experience at the pyramids that night that would resonate with everybody in the audience.
Yeah, definitely just connect there with them.
Yeah, and so that was pretty awesome, and also trying to make your act work on a global level. You can't reference, specific, American-centric references or something because people that are there, from whatever, English-speaking countries or non-English-speaking countries, English-speaking countries not getting the reference. You also have to, have something in there for the non-English-speaking people to sort of still have an entertainment value. We had a lot of mime stuff and sort of just stuff that people were it was still funny, on a different level. So that was pretty cool and awesome,
Definitely. Were you just on one cruise ship or?
I did one cruise ship for 3 months in Mexico and then 1 month in Alaska. That was cool. But the real cool one was going all over Europe.
Really?
We were in England, and we went from England to Spain to France to Egypt, Morocco to Greece to Italy, and all these places in between, and all these amazing cities and stuff. So that was we did it 4 months at a time.
Oh wow!
I did 2 separate 4-month contracts.
Okay.
So that was pretty awesome. Yeah.
Oh wow!
And it was cool because a cruise ship comedy has sort of a bad reputation, but we were working for Second City.
Yeah.
So Second City, we're doing old Steve Carell sketches and Mike Myers and Tina Fey sketches and stuff. And and then to sort of do that. Plus we would do talk shows, and I would be the stand-up comedian guest on the talk show, and that was pretty cool to do all that stuff.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So did you guys perform multiple times a day, or did you only perform one time a day while you're on the on the sea, or how does that work?
We did we mostly performed on call them sea days.
Yeah.
And so on sea days we would do 3 shows on a 7, 8, and 7, 8, 9, and 10 or something like that. And each show was different. One was a sketch show, one was a talk show. Then we play match game or something weird like that. But those were pretty. They were pretty great. They were pretty fun, and it was just. And we also got to I also got away with a lot of weird alternative stuff because what was very interesting was that I got away with stuff day 5 of the cruise that I probably couldn't have gotten away with day 1. So I would be I would do by day 5, people who like the show keep coming back, and we would do a different show every time we performed. So they came back because there was something new to see.
It actually varies, right?
Yeah, and so it kind of was cool because by the time day 5, we did this thing called a German cabaret where we brought these red lights down, and the host came out and he was in the German cabaret in this certain time period, people would do very weird out there stuff. So I did my monster character, which is just a guy doing, hey, how you doing tonight? He's just a monster doing stand up.
Yeah.
Which people were by day 5, they like you. So they're now willing to let you kind of see you have fun.
They're a lot warmed up to it,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So they're willing to go on that adventure with you.
Whereas opposed to if it was day 1, they'd be get the monster comedian. I want my money back.
What is this guy doing? How did he even get on this boat? Is he a stowaway?
Do you work here?
Are you sure you're not the dish boy?
It's also funny by day 5. By day 5, they'll let you get away with stuff. By day 10, they're starting to complain to you about the towels being dirty and stuff.
Yeah.
We never got our bread with our salad. I was all right, I guess the magic of me is lost.
Oh, no doubt. So, being on the road a lot and being out on sea and stuff, like sometimes you need comfort items or things to keep you, like remind you of home or keep you comfy while you're traveling. Do you have any personal items that you just can't live without when you're on the road? Like
alcohol and marijuana.
Definitely.
No, I don't know. I like to play pinball a lot. You know,
Okay.
that's like a fun thing to do. I have a little app on my phone that tells me where pinball machines are in the area.
That exists?
Yeah.
What?
It's pretty great. And then it's cool because like sometimes you're like, all right, well, I guess let's go to a bar. It's all there really is to do in life, it seems. You know, but so it's like, well, what bar do we go to? Oh, this bar is pinball machines. So, you know, it helps us kind of pick a place to go to and like, it's kind of, and TJ's a big pinball guy too. So it's pretty fun to like find a place and play some pins, you know, in some city. And, you know, we definitely like, oh, what did we do? Oh, we went axe throwing in
What? Really?
Calgary.
Nice.
Yeah, battle axe. BATL. That was so much fun. Just throwing axes at these targets in this giant warehouse.
That sounds really fun.
I guess they have like leagues there and stuff, you know.
What?
Yeah, so that was, I think finding like, that's not really a home comfort, but I mean, finding things like that on the road. I'm actually more interested in doing something I can never do at home.
Okay,
that's
getting a new experience.
Yeah, but if I am going to do something familiar, like finding pinball machines is sort of my teddy bear. You know?
That's always awesome. Okay, so you kind of have some work behind and on screen as well. Do you want to kind of go into that? Like, you're just like, the No Outlet show is something that you've been working on.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, I was sort of, I really wanted to do a sketch show. And, you know, I was just sort of like, you know, one of your jobs as a comedian is you write these packets all these times, these writing packets, and you submit them to Saturday Night Live and The Daily Show and, you know, Seth Meyers, all these talk shows. And you wind up just accumulating a lot of material, you know. And also I've been with the sketch group for, you know, with Heavyweight so many years. And I was just like, fuck it, I just want to make a sketch show.
Yeah.
And I'm tired of waiting for somebody to, like, pull the trigger on me. I'll just make it myself. So I wound up just making like No Outlet, which was just like all these, some of my more favorite sketches that I had written over the years, and just kind of wanted to have this weird stream of consciousness, connective tissue that I like to have in some of the stuff I do. Yeah. And it was a great, it was a lot of fun to do. I'm really happy with how it turned out. And you know, it's just sort of like this piece of comedy art that's out there. I don't even know what to call it, if it's like a pilot or a film or what it is, but it's just out there to enjoy. And but it was very fun, like writing it and sort of working with like this guy Chris Piazza directed it, and Michael Cargill and Sean Rubin helped produce it, and sort of just that whole experience of like, I mean, I started with just talking to Chris about it. And I talked to my buddy Sean about maybe bringing him in to help me with certain aspects of it. Yeah. And next thing you know, I had like a 17-person crew. Holy. I remember my roommate came up and looked at all the people in our living room. He's like, "What have you done?" You know? But everybody was essential to making it as good as it was, and it just sort of building of like, what we want this to be good, or what's the best way to do that. And it was a passion project, and a lot of people gave they're like these great efforts to make this thing. So it was very interesting on so many levels, like the production aspect of it, the writing aspect of it, you know, being sort of like, you know, overseeing all of the lighting and sound, and, you know, bringing a makeup girl in to do the oldest man in the world bit, and, you know, and like, and bringing like, you know, we have this, we had a special effect guy, you know, that I never met. It was Chris's buddy, but, you know, like communicating, you know, all the ideas to him and seeing the brilliance that he brought to these certain things of it. It was really cool from that, you know, aspect of it, you know. And I've done like, you know, I did production on Mashup for Comedy Central, which is a show that TJ and I did, where TJ hosted. And, you know, I sort of was a producer on it, which was sort of, that's a label they give you when they don't want to pay you as a writer.
Oh,
but that was like you start wearing a lot of hats once that label's thrown your way, and being like, taking care of everything from figuring out like how to juggle, people's schedules to, figuring, making wardrobe happy because they're trying to figure out who's being cast in this certain sketch because they're going to have to figure out a costume that fits because there's still, and then, or where this guy coming into town is going to stay, but then also figuring out like, an extra joke right here, a bit right there, how to make this thing funnier right here.
Yeah.
Even in the post-production, like sitting with the editing guys and seeing their brilliance of how they're editing together and sort of bouncing some things off of them of like, a version of how it could flow and them sort of like building on top of that to making it, as great as possible. So it's a very, it's cool to be so collaborative on those projects.
Yeah, definitely. It gives you a lot of people to bounce ideas off of and build with, right?
Yeah, it takes so many, these things are so expensive to do, TV and movies, but it's because it costs a lot to have so many talents make it so great.
Oh, exactly, right? It's you can either cheap out and you can get something that's not very presentable, or you can put the time and the effort and unfortunately the money into it, and you can get something much more out of it.
Yeah, it's very interesting learning and appreciating all the aspects of it.
Yeah, definitely, without a doubt. Is there any other like writing you've done for like TV or behind stage?
Trying to think. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm trying to think.
Fair enough.
I did. Yeah. I guess I worked on Gore Burger for Comedy Central.
Okay.
So yeah, there we did that, which that was really cool. Being paid as a writer.
Yeah.
and that was a project that was like, that was somebody else's idea that I was fortunate enough to be brought in.
Okay.
And it's sort of, but they were great to be able to be brought into something that was already in motion. Gore Burger was this show that was like on Funny or Die. And then it was on, HBO bought the pilot, but then it didn't work for them. And then Comedy Central picked it up, and they wound up buying like 8 episodes or whatever.
Okay.
And then being brought in at the Comedy Central part of the whole deal, and sort of like, pitching episode ideas and arcs and segments and stuff like that. And then to be like receptive to this new guy coming in was really cool.
That's awesome.
And and then we had so many great guests on that show, and like pitching ideas of like, what's a fun game to play with Larry King, or like, I think we had one of like, because watch Gore Burger. I think it's a really funny show, and it's like, it's this giant monster from outer space, this like Jim Henson type Muppet, that's interviewing then he takes over a Japanese talk show. So it's right up my alley to write for,
Oh,
so
exactly,
it's so
right, because it's so out there.
Yeah. And to be like, well, what if he is like this holiday from his planet that, he celebrates, and like, and then kind of having the other writers in the room be like, oh, there'd be some fun things we could do with that, and then like, then hearing the things they'd already, kind of established, and me being able to pipe in and being like, yeah, the collaborative process is so great, like, that's why I think like working with other people is so fun. Heavyweight, I worked on the Critics' Choice Awards and wrote for that. And I worked with Heavyweight, which is like, we have this thing now. We have this thing on Laughly.com, or if you get this, there's a Laughly app. But if you go to Laughly, there's Heavyweight, and Heavyweight is me, TJ, Brady, and Mark, and it's this sort of like stream of consciousness audio sketch show.
Yeah.
We're gonna do like one a month. They're gonna be like these 20-minute things that have all these like sound effects and some weird stream of consciousness stuff again, based on Spike the Vodka, which is this other weird audio sketch show I did. But we got to work together on Critics' Choice Awards, which was great to have these guys that we've been doing Chicago Sketch Fest for 10 years in a row, in Toronto and Dublin, and then work together on the Critics' Choice. And
you already have like a real like, can't remember what the word would be like. You already work together very well.
Yeah. and that's so fun to work with a team like that.
Yeah.
For the Critics' Choice Awards, and come up with weird, like shoot TJ out of the cannon, but the cannon misfires, so just his head shoots out of it, and have a disembodied head laying on the ground and be like, we'll be right back, and that's sort of our sensibility, and putting that on TV is pretty hilarious.
That's fantastic.
Just so they can be like, what have we done? What have we let these people do?
Oh my God, we paid them?
They've done a lot of Salvio, haven't they?
No doubt. How many drugs did they do when they wrote this? Alright, do you have any qualities that you admire out of other comedians that you've either watched or worked with?
I think anybody doing something unique and different I like. I'd rather see somebody fail doing something I've never seen before than kill with another Starbucks bit,
Yeah. Or someone steal someone's axe. I don't know if we have to name names. But.
Right. Although I am impressed when someone steals an act and can still deliver the material.
Yeah.
It's part of me being like, I'll still, I still think you should go to hell. But
I still think you should go to hell, but you're a really good actor or actress.
You pulled off stealing that material very well. I think my buddies are the biggest influence. I think Brady and Mark and TJ, and also coming up with some of these comics from Chicago, Kumail Nanjiani and Kyle Kinane and Pete Holmes and Hannibal Buress and and Jared Logan and Mike Bridenstine and just so many comics and also so many improvisers, in the Chicago scene that were very funny to me. I think those are the biggest influence of me, to me, I mean, I could say Brian Regan is just so silly to me. He's one of my favorites. And, and Andy Kaufman is so unique, and Steve Martin was able to take absurdity and really make it, palatable for everybody.
Definitely.
Palatable. But I think some of those guys and watching them evolve and seeing how they got better taught me how to get better.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Okay. A lot of material to pull from there too, definitely. So you can definitely see how they grew and how they started out.
Yeah, I remember TJ one time we did an open mic at this weird bikini bar in Chicago, and he just destroyed. And I was like, that was a really good set. And he was like, yeah. He goes, what's weird? Being on stage didn't feel any different than being off stage. Huh. And he's like, I felt that's why that set went so well. And it's those little micro conversations like that with all your buddies coming up over the years that stick with you, and just seeing Kumail kind of take a set and just kind of treat it like a sculpture and kind of chip away and making it tighter and better every time he in polishing it and making it better and better every time he showed everybody this statue of a set, was like, wow, he's really doing the work of, this isn't good enough. I'm going to make it even better and better and better and better.
Right? You see what you can tweak and you see what you can make better, and you can see how, what did the crowd react better to, and what didn't they react to, and how did it all flow, and...
Yeah.
It's you can actually choose to receive that, or you can choose not to, and if you don't, it's a lot harder. Like you said, it's like a statue. If you're not constantly chiseling away at it, it's are you actually putting in a full amount of work, and are you actually going to get that product that you actually want?
Right. Do you have a David or do you have a Gary?
Exactly, right?
Nobody's seen the Gary.
Gary's a nice guy, right. But so's my gardener.
Michelangelo's Gary.
Michelangelo's Gary. He hidden deep in his crawl space.
Yeah, the catacombs of Franzia. You didn't spend as much time on that one as David, so...
That one, there was a little bit of a rush. The people put a quick order on it, and it just wasn't Amazon.
The turnaround time was just, they went over budget. By the way, have you ever seen David? I went to Italy where I saw it in. I keep saying Frenzia. That's the that's the Italian. I can't even think the English translation of that Italian town, but the pubes on David are amazing. I will say, I looked at David, and the pubes were like the most. It felt like I could reach out and touch them, and they would be soft, even though they were marble. I don't know why that stuck out to me more than any other part.
See, that's it. It's like a picture you've ever seen of David doesn't really present that.
Yeah.
Right? Is it like it doesn't really like show the pubes in a manner like they always try and concentrate on the face and like shoot from underneath it, and it's.
I think maybe the pubes are at eye level when you're there. I don't know what it is, but I really was like I wanted to like touch it because I was like. It feels like it's going to be soft, but I know it's hard marble. And I felt
Maybe
very
it's just Play-Doh that hasn't dried yet.
Yeah. Look at the pubes.
Look at the pubes.
And I also was so self-conscious about it, I kept trying not to look too long at it because I didn't want other people to be like, is he just like staring at his dick? And I was like, no, man, it's the pubes.
Is this guy comparing, like... If he goes into the bathroom after this, like, maybe we should send security in after. Walk up to the statue and pull out a measuring tape.
You're like, wow. I wish I was David.
Rock hard all the time.
All the time. That's the hardest flaccid dick I've ever seen.
Oh my god. This might be the one guy who can actually fuck himself. I've never seen a curve like that in my life.
Oh man, beautiful.
Beautiful, beautiful artwork. All right, do you have any advice for any other comedians or anyone who's starting out or coming up?
Find a version of comedy that makes you happy. You know?
Yeah?
I think that's the biggest one.
Okay.
I think like it's not everybody's path is going to be the path that makes you happy. I think I think a lot of times everyone looks at comedy and is like, well, be Jerry Seinfeld, and that's the only path. And the thing is, there's a lot of people that spend their whole career trying to be Seinfeld, and they come up short, and I think that makes them unhappy. And I think there's a lot of people that try to be as successful as Jerry Seinfeld, and they actually are, and they're still unhappy. You know, so I think, like, find a version of what you do. You know, like, if you want to just do comedy, I have buddies that, like, I have some buddies in Chicago that, like, never felt the need to leave Chicago.
Yeah.
And I think they have a family, and I think they have a day job that they enjoy doing. It supports their comedy, and they put on shows that are creatively satisfying, and they have successes here and there. And I think they're way happier than a lot of the comics that like move to New York or LA and are beating themselves up every night and comparing themselves with everybody else.
Well, when you set your bar to someone like a Jerry Seinfeld or a Jim Carrey or somebody else, it's how do you ever actually achieve that? Because once you get to that point, like what other people could consider that point, you still think you're chasing it because you idolize that person.
Yeah.
How are you ever going to achieve the goals of somebody you idolize? Yeah. You're always going to hold that bar way higher than you actually have to.
Yeah.
And you're going to judge yourself way harder than you have to. And maybe you're going to cut material that maybe shouldn't be cut, or maybe, like we said before, maybe you're going to pigeonhole yourself because you're afraid that mainstream comics only have to be a Jerry Seinfeld or something like that.
I mean, that's a big problem too. It's like you want to be the best version of yourself on stage. I think a lot of people envision a version of themselves eventually.
Yeah.
Be that person now. If you're like, well, I eventually want to be this guy who tells these crazy stories, tell the stories now. I want to be a person who improvises with the audience. Do that now. What are you waiting for?
No, exactly.
Because you're not going to get there until you start doing it. You know, you just want to be a best version of yourself too. The most unique, the best thing you can do to set yourself apart from everybody else is being the closest version to yourself, because you're going to be more different, because everyone's different, you know?
Of course.
The more you start to do what you think other people want, or what you should do, or what's expected, that's where you're going to start being in the mix of everybody. And it's hard to separate. There's a lot of very funny people out there. There's a lot of great comics out there. So it's hard for those people to separate themselves. And, once I start hearing people talk about comedy in the terms of what it should be, it almost bothers me. Because, I feel like they're like, well, you need to come out. You always need to tell a little bit about yourself, and you need to say where you're from and talk about your childhood and where you were born, or if you're socially unique in some sort of situation, you have to talk about that. And I just don't agree. Do that if you feel that's what your humor comes from.
No, exactly.
If you have a story to tell, or if that's where your jokes.
If that's where they come from, or if that's how you want to transition it, fantastic. But you don't always have to go about it that way.
No, just it's like, you come at, people coming out and being like, well, I know what you're thinking. If so-and-so and so-and-so had a baby, All right, well, I came from this part of the country, so that means this. And then I am, this person, so I will sort of make a self-referential joke about the social point of view of this to sort of get that elephant out of the room. And then it's like, if you don't feel compelled to do that, if you want to just come out and just fucking talk about your ankles, or talk, or you want to just sort of talk about, have a joke about whatever, trains or whatever or you want to just burp or whatever you want to do. Just
anything can be funny if it's told in the right way.
Yeah, don't ever do something you feel you should do. Just do what you want to do. And write scripts too. Always be writing scripts. So if you were like, well, I eventually want to be a writer, don't wait until someone asks you to hire you to write. You need to write years before you're ever asked to submit or be a writer.
Well, that's how you build up the ability to do it, right? Is through practice.
And then all these people are like, oh, great, you're a comedian. What do you want to be? It's like, well, I'd love to write for TV. Great. What do you have? What do you mean, what do I have? You said you wanted to write for TV, right? Yeah. So have you written any scripts? No. I just thought I'd be funny, and then someone would hire me and put me on a staff. It's like, that's not how it works,
Well, that's it. Is things translate different from a script to stand-up. So not everybody can do that.
Right.
So it's like, if you don't practice that, how are you actually going to get the feel of the difference for it?
Yep. Yeah. Just like stand-up. You wouldn't expect to just go out and be an amazing stand-up the first time you do it. Conversely, your first script's not going to be amazing. Also, if it is, then great. You have that in the back pocket. Have 2 or 3 at least. So when eventually Johnny Hollywood comes up to you and is like, hey, what do you got? Like, well, I have 3 screenplays and 5 TV scripts. And then the agent's like, you're a workhorse. I want to work with you.
No, exactly.
You're going to make us money, and I get something to send to people to get you hired, as opposed to just being like, he's funny, watch him on stage.
Well, it's like if you're trying to write a book or a book series or something, try and have more than one, because it's not like a company is not going to be like, okay, we can put this on the shelf in 2 months. It's going to be like, okay, we have to go into production, we have to decide when we're going to release this, we have to time it properly. Yeah. Is the market going to be ready for it at that time? You can wait a year after you submit your final copy of a book before it actually sees shelves. Yeah. Just because, everything that has to go into that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's it. It's being prepared and having multiple copies. If you, you can't just walk up to a publishing house and be like, oh, hey, I want to write this, and I think it's a great story. And they're going to be like, okay, so where's your manuscript?
And you're just like, it's all up here.
Well, if you bring me a drawing board, I can graph this all out, and I can make a web. And
you got a cocktail napkin. I think also, too, if you want to act, shoot videos. Make them look good.
Practice in front of a camera. Practice in front of a mirror. That's something that even I do before I do my mid rolls and my rolls at the beginning. Is it's I do tongue twisters. I just sit there and I'll just listen to music and I'll just sing along, just to warm up the voice. And it's just
But you also like, you know, all that preparation, you know, before the warm-ups and everything. But you also want to have like, if you want to act, have video of you, how you look on camera on the internet or something to show to people. Because I think a lot of comics and are naive, and they just feel that if I'm funny on stage, people will picture me, what I would look like in front of the camera, or picture me as a writer.
Not the same
It's
at
not
all.
the same.
And it's a huge difference, and it's hard for somebody like a studio to take a chance on somebody if they know that somebody who actually has like on-camera experience is available.
Yeah, and that's the tough thing too, is like putting all your eggs in just stand up. You have to diversify the lottery tickets that you're scratching, and whether it's just do as much as you can, you know.
Oh,
like,
exactly.
do stand up, but have like, people are touring off podcasts now, you know, have the scripts, have the video stuff.
No, exactly. Like, hopefully eventually I can build up to the point where I can tour around and do interviews, but it's like right now I'm just building, but it's like it would be a goal is like to possibly tour around, do interviews and public speak or something, right? Like,
that'd be great.
Maybe even write a book. Like,
Yeah.
you have to diversify, because if you're going to spend your time in these things, you have to possibly see, like, what else can I possibly do? What am I capable of doing? What are my abilities, and how can I show them the best?
Yep.
Because it's like, I'm trying to, like, get into writing books, so, like, I try and actually practice, like, writing out scripts for the beginning, and then, like, actually, like, getting used to, like, trying to get beyond, like, other shows for, like, interviews and other things. Like, I practice talking through it. I'll talk through it in different tones, like, other things, so you can actually see, like, how am I selling this? Am I selling it really excited? Am I selling it low? Am I selling it high? Like...
Yeah, and the book and the podcast will both help each other out. You know,
exactly.
Also, know the alphabet too. I
Yes.
am a big proponent of knowing all the letters on the alphabet and finding out if there's letters that you don't know about.
Yes. You have to be able to like range, like having a vocabulary and being able to use it is like
right.
Because it's one thing I found like when I first started out is like I was like trying to like prep things, but like I didn't have words, like bigger words written down, so it'd be like I'd keep using the same explanation words, and it was just like, man, this sounds like crap because I just said like exciting like 17 fucking times. And
listen to yourself too. That's huge.
No, exactly. Like you actually have to go through and like I listened to like every one of my episodes to just be like, okay, that was shit. Like, it was like I actually like had it one time where like the first time I wrote a script for an episode, like I actually like in that episode I wrote in, if you can go into our last episode and tell me how many times I say the word exciting, I will send you free music.
That's funny.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, I feel like such an ass.
Yeah. That's how you learn, though.
Oh, exactly, right?
That's
you have
how
to make
you
mistakes.
grow. Yeah.
You have to make mistakes, because I had a podcast ask me, like, well, they're, like, still trying to build their material, and they're like, well, we're still trying to figure out, like, launching and stuff. And it was just like, do you have any hints for people that are just trying to launch? And I was like, just go for it.
Yeah.
They're like, literally? And I was like, I bought a microphone, hooked it up to my computer, and started booking interviews, like, that week.
Yeah.
They're like, seriously? I was, like, throwing episodes out, like, the first week, and I was like, what do you think of your first episodes? And I told them, I was like, every podcaster is going to tell you, whether you're 10 episodes in, 50 episodes in, 1,000 episodes in, you are going to hate your first episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a learning experience.
Yeah, you get better, man.
Exactly. Okay, so do you guys have, like, any interests outside of comedy, like, and besides, like, the on-screen work?
I think pinball's it.
Pinball wizard.
That's all I care about, man. I do.
That's amazing. Do you have a favorite like style of pinball or like
anything with a lot of modes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just throwing all that information at you, like, all right, we're going through bonuses and
yeah, you know, it's like darts. You know, where you have to like close, you have to hit that shot to open up that shot, that shot, that shot. If you hit this shot in that sequence, that opens up this thing, and that's how you get the multi-ball, that lights the extra ball, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And then you have to get it through this little thing that spins this thing, and makes all the lights go off, and it's like, yeah, bonus points.
I definitely need another hobby besides pinball and comedy. I have a third thing to talk about on podcasts.
No worries. Pinball Wizard. That's okay. Well, you actually used to run your own Nick Vatterott podcast where...
The Nick Vatterott Show!
Each
week Nick Vatterott can't make it, and instead I, played a character taking over the show.
Yes, so there was a multitude of characters. So, I mean, do any of those characters travel with you, or...
Hey, hold on, let me just... Hey! Hold on, I can't even remember. There's one guy, I'm blanking on his name.
Oh, he's got to be around.
He was actually in the first episode.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
But the thing is, I'm never there.
So it's really hard to tell who's there to replace you, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to keep track of it all.
He was in, I think his name's Danny Friedman.
Danny Friedman?
Hey, Danny, are you here? I'm gonna grab him, bro.
All right. You go grab Danny.
What are you talking about, huh? Hey, what's going on here? It's me, Danny Friedman. I'm from the first episode of the Land of the Freedmen, where I talk about political America and how the liberals, you know what the liberals want? They want everybody to be deer. That's what they want, yeah.
Everybody want to be deer, and they want to take away the guns.
They want to take the guns and turn them into pipes to smoke their marijuana.
What are you gonna do when all the deer start turning against the people if we don't have guns?
You know what kills deer? A good guy with a gun. That'll kill
a
a deer.
With a gun. What else could possibly stop a deer?
No deer has ever, in the history of the 5,000 years of the United States, no deer has ever once shot anybody. And you know why? It's because there's good guys with a gun. That's right. Good guys with a gun. And good deers with a gun, too. Yeah, I think we need to arm all the deer. We need to find which deers there are and let all the deers have guns, so if a deer ever attacks anybody, the good deer are going to go ahead and take that deer down.
They need to police themselves, right? I mean, if nature isn't policing itself, then it's all out of control. It's all out of whack. What are we doing?
Liberal America, if they could have it their way, a palm tree would be the president of the United States.
Oh, my God. I know, right? And Coconut would be the vice president.
They like their goddamn coconut water.
What is with them and their goddamn coconut water and the avocado on toast?
Al Gore made a documentary saying that coconut water should be replacing all the water in the United States. And you should just have coconut water coming out of your shower, and you should bathe with it, and you should pee in it in your toilet. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm an American. Last time I checked my goddamn rifle card, and I think that if I want to go pee in regular water and not coconut water, that's my God-given right. Crap. You know what? I gotta get out of here. I gotta go and just throw trash on the ground and take a picture of it and send it to Tom Hanks.
Yeah, you gotta send that straight to Tom Hanks and let him know that the left is just the wrong way to go.
Tom Hanks needs to know I'm tired of Hollywood. I don't know, man. That guy is he's very angry at liberals. I don't know.
I mean, there's a lot of people get stuck on that, right? I mean...
Hey, he couldn't think of a guy at the end. Did you notice that? He couldn't think of any liberal name at the very end there.
He's just mad at people. He can't even think of who he's mad at.
There's no logic. Yeah.
He just wants to poop on fire and put it on someone's doorstep.
Yeah, he talks about poop and pee a lot. And I love that the only liberal you can think of is Tom Hanks, which I'm not even sure.
I mean,
not a political guy.
I would assume he's a left-wing guy, but I mean, I can't really say for myself either. I mean, who's to know if he's even right with these allegations?
Coconut water, it's all made up.
It's all made up.
I loved it. That's actually not that far from what Rush Limbaugh did on when he said the hurricane coming to Florida was a liberal conspiracy to sell. Batteries and stuff like that.
Right.
You lunatic.
Trying to sell water and batteries and survival gear.
Yeah.
Goddamn liberals are trying to buy up all of our camping gear so we can't go hunting.
So funny, man.
Oh, it's just it. There's always just a way to blame everybody for just oh no, it's this person and it's completely their fault. And I was no, this is a complete act of nature. What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, they think Harp is sitting up in the Alaskan mountains just designing hurricanes.
We're just beaming. We attacked. We attacked Haiti so we could put military bases there, and
it's bonkers, man.
It's how could you possibly not just believe that, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. Oh God. Yeah. We keep talking about America, you know, with Reese being from New Zealand, and then, you know, we got the tour managers on tour with us, are Canadian, and so the state of America is brought up a lot. And it's very embarrassing, you know?
Yeah, I can see how that is a thing.
Yeah, we'll trade you Justin. We'll trade you one Donald for one Justin if you're down.
Oh, like... The Alberta, Saskatchewan area would be all about that, because they're all about the blue, but
yeah,
they're like really crazy, because like the guy who is currently leading Canada's Conservative Party is trying really hard to find a way to separate himself from the alt-right aspect of everything, because lo and behold, the guy who is his tour manager also happens to run, like, the biggest alt-right website in Canada.
Wow.
And this guy doesn't believe that women, like, deserve rights. Like, he doesn't believe, like, that they should be able to be paid the same wage as women. Like, it's just like, how did you guys choose this guy to lead your friggin' party?
How is that? The world is becoming just everly more progressive, but then you got some guys just digging their heels.
There's so many people that are afraid of change that they're just trying to, like, throw the anchor down back, like, they're trying to toss it back into the 50s.
Yeah.
And they're just trying to, like, revert time. And it's like, yes, like,
the 50s were the best time ever! Shut up, Danny!
Like, it's great. Like, the economy was amazing back then. Everything was booming, but it's just like, things aren't the same. We can't just go back to that. Like, being closed-minded doesn't suddenly make the economy come back and save America. Like, how the fuck does that save a country?
That's the one thing they keep bringing up. They keep saying, make America great again. It's like, when was this great time in American history? Because there really has not been a moment in American history where it was great for everybody in it. You know?
Exactly. Like, there's always somebody that had it bad. Like, you're trying to say, let's go back to the 50s. Like, great. Like, we want to go back to segregating everybody, and like, we're going to separate everyone, and like, racism is still kind of a thing. And
I actually wouldn't mind segregating Trump supporters from not.
We'll just move them all to like somewhere. Like, he's got enough hotels, we can just load them all up in his hotels, right? Like,
make them count. They have to use the back entrance, and I actually don't want to use the same water fountain as a Trump supporter. You know, like, make them sit in the back of the bus.
They might have cooties, right?
Yeah.
Like, let them know how it feels for a little bit.
God, that would be amazing.
I mean,
that's a Black Mirror episode, right?
They're trying really hard to play the victim right now. So I mean, they are trying to be. So maybe we should make them ride on the back of the bus,
right?
Just so that they have to actually experience it.
That's actually not.
It's like they actually, like, this is the first time ever they actually have to deal with feeling shitty for being a shitty person.
Mm-hmm.
And they're trying to fight back for it. And it's like, oh, all these people actually got, like, rights because they're equal, and, like, we don't agree with that. It was like, well, that's because you're fucking stupid.
Yeah, it's interesting watching the Canadian parallel with the American parallel with the left and the right, you know, and it, like, there's you know, like, there's racism in Canada, and, you know, and of course I come up here being like, but you guys are all white, how is there racism? But then like, it's the Inuit tribes and all that stuff, there seems to be a racism towards them.
Oh,
and
and there's like a ton of Native American people in like the middle of Canada,
and they're fighting for there's a war.
Oh yeah, there's just so much going on with that too, and like, well, getting into that is just so deep because like they got screwed over so hard, and like thankfully,
like every native everywhere.
Thankfully, oh of course, right? But like thankfully, like this government finally years later decided to come up with a commission to apologize for it and actually like do research on it and everything, and it's like, okay, like thankfully we finally got to this, but it was like, how did it take this long?
Yeah,
like seriously. Like, we can't admit that, like, taking everyone's children and putting them inside of schools with priests was a terrible idea.
Ha! Welcome to Earth.
Right? Like, no, like, history has only told us over and over and over and over again that this is a terrible idea, so let's try it again. Let's try and whitewash a bunch of people and fail. And they did, and it's very unfortunate, but let's not stay on that. Like I said, that is a topic I can talk for hours. So, okay, so, where are we? We're going to ask you a little bit about some stupid questions here.
Okay.
If Nick Vatterott could have a superpower, what would Nick Vatterott have?
Ability to have change on me at all times.
Oh my.
And change for other people. You know, you're at a meter,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and you got like you got a $5 bill.
Yeah.
I can just show up and give you change. You're at an arcade.
So like, can you break this down?
Yeah.
That'd be perfect in the place for a guy who's always hanging out where there's pinball machines, right?
I'd be a hero.
You would be the actual pinball wizard. Because you'd be like, where the hell does this change keep coming from?
That would be my superhero name.
Yeah,
Wizard.
the pinball wizard. Just have it playing before you walk into the room, just so everybody knows.
Bum, ba, bum, ba, bum, ba, bum. Here it is. That's funny.
Clear the pinball machines. We gotta watch. It's going down. It is happening. Okay, so if Nick Vatterott could be an animal, what animal would Nick Vatterott be?
Party animal.
Party animal. Yeah.
But also the face of a pig.
Just the face of a pig?
The face of a pig. I think like the body of a falcon.
So it would be like a flying pig sort of thing? Flying pigs would actually, like, you would actually want to be the flying pig.
Yeah, but I don't want the body of the pig, though.
Okay.
You know, flying pig is always like wings on a pig's body.
Yeah.
I want a pig's head, but falcon body.
Would we still be able to classify that as when pigs fly? Or does it have to be more pig?
When pig falcons. You'd have to specify when pig falcons fly.
When pig falcons fly. Yeah, so it would be a very specific breed of things. And
or when falcons are pigs. I was like, yeah, that'll happen when falcons are pigs. And then I'll come by and go, anyone need change? I think that'd be a nice sequence of events. If they
I think it would be too. I think it really would be too. Okay, so this is a new question for me. So, what is the stupidest, the dumbest rumor you have ever heard about yourself?
That I'm a cool guy. I don't know who started that.
It's completely untrue, right?
Yeah, I mean, I play pinball. I won't shut up about comedy. I smoke weed all the time. I do a lot of sort of loser things, you know.
I mean, I live with my in-laws, and I have green card medication, and just record interviews with people and play with audio all day, so...
Yeah, nerds are the new cool, you know? I'm trying to think. I honestly don't think people talk about... God, I don't know. I'm trying to think. I think people thought I was gay. I had a girl that I was... I don't know, it's not really a rumor.
Yeah.
But, like, I remember, like, having friends that I used to work with a girl for, like, years. And when they were hanging out, and she said something very weird to me. And I was like... Why'd you ask me that? And she was like, "You're gay, right?" I was like, "I'm not gay. I've known you for like 2 years." I mean, you know, not that there's anything wrong with that, but that's like always just a weird thing of like having. Yeah, that's always interesting too. Like a rumor out there that there's people perceiving you in a way that you never. I remember one time I said to a guy at this work, he was like, he asked me for a cigarette, and I go, I don't smoke cigarettes.
Yeah.
And he goes, what do you smoke then? And I go, crack. And he goes, really? And I'm like, yeah. Like, I got a real bad problem. And then that guy got fired the next day. And I never told him I was joking. So there's a guy out there who just thinks I smoke crack, like, all the time. So I think that's pretty funny. Yeah.
That is pretty fantastic.
Yeah. Is that a rumor?
Maybe he's running around just telling people, like, man, he's just crackhead I used to work with is touring around doing crack.
Yeah, that guy does crack.
Talking comedy.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'll start a rumor about myself.
Just spread some on your own, go around before the show.
Yeah. That'd be pretty fun.
Yo, did you hear that Nick Vatterott did this? As soon as you stand on stage, hey, that's that guy.
That's him. Smoking crack. They're like, I didn't know gay guys smoked crack. And I was like, no, guys, I'm not. I'm trying to be a pig falcon.
We're trying to make the pig falcon a thing, goddammit. Quit taking it to gay crack smokers. We're not trying to push it in that boundary. God damn it.
That's pretty funny.
Alright. I've held on to you for like almost an hour and 40 minutes now.
Is there anything workable in here?
I hope so.
Is there any good stuff?
I hope that there's at least something we can use. We'll try and figure it out.
You whittle it down to 30 seconds. And just be like, pig falcon.
Pig falcon! And I'll just be like me stepping up to a promo and be like, have you ever heard of the wondrous pig falcon?
Well, thank you for having me.
Oh, no worries. Thanks for being on the show.
Yeah. I guess check out Laughly. Check out the Heavyweight sketch show. All your listeners.
Gonna ask, where can we find you?
Yeah, for amusement only is the Comedy Central album I did.
I meant to ask you about that.
Yeah, that's that was a pretty fun one to do. I've actually been doing so many because I do the director's commentary on it.
I was listening to that on the way up, and that was easily my favorite part of it. It was hilarious.
I've been doing that a little bit on the tour. It's kind of like
really
some of that in there. Yeah, I got a new thing coming out called K-Rock 92 Point Buzz.
Really,
which is this concept comedy album. I think I'm going to drop it in January.
Huh.
And it's just sort of like basically it's this idea of like just you listening to an FM radio station.
Yeah,
but it's like fake songs, fake commercials, fake like in studio drama.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just completely ridiculous.
That is a fantastic idea.
Yeah, it's
that
pretty
is
fun.
Awesome.
Yeah,
holy! I'm gonna have to keep my eyes open for that one for sure.
And ears.
And ears. Yes, that is definitely.
You don't have to look at it. Definitely hear it.
Definitely. Well, I'm going to have to look to try and find it, or else I'm going to have to yell at somebody and just throw my phone at them and be like, Google it!
Show yourself!
Find him! Show it to me! All right. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks so much.
All right. I want to give a big thank you, a huge thank you to Nick Vatterott for stopping in and letting me talk to him. I guess I really stopped into his hotel room back when he was in Kelowna for the alternative comedy tour, the Just for Laughs alternative comedy tour. If you're in Canada, hopefully you caught that while it came through your town. If you didn't, well, it's too late. So keep your eyes open if Nick Vatterott is going to be in your area soon, because the man is hilarious. You can find him on Facebook. He's got a website. You can see his material on YouTube, on Comedy Central. It's all over the place. Go out there, find him, support the man. Check out For Amusement Only on Spotify. Like, the guy is hilarious. Check it out for sure. I also want to give a big thank you to Pure October for letting us use a couple of their tracks. Like I said, we started off the show with Superheroes Can't Save Everybody, but in the middle of the show, we played something special by Pure October. So big shout out to Pure October for hooking up the Desert Tiger podcast with fantastic music to keep you guys all entertained. You can find Pure October on Facebook at Pure October, and you can also find them on Bandcamp by looking up Pure October, and I suggest that you do, because those guys are fantastic. You can also find us here at the Desert Tiger Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. On Facebook, we're under Desert Tiger Entertainment. On Twitter, we are Desert Tiger Pod, and Instagram, we are the Desert Tiger Podcast. So give us a follow, we'll follow you back. And make sure to talk to us about what you love about the show. Give us some suggestions about things maybe you want to hear from musicians or comedians or whoever we may feature on the show. We have a lot of exciting and interesting things coming your way in the next month, and I hope you're excited for it. We got some really fantastic bands. And last but not least, we have to thank you, the listener of the Desert Tiger Podcast. Because without you, we would have no reason to do this every single week, because you guys keep us live. So thank you for subscribing on iTunes, Stitcher, CastBox, whatever you're listening to. Thank you so much. Thank you for rating and reviewing the show on iTunes. We got a solid 5-star average, so thank you guys so much for repping the Desert Tiger Podcast and for giving us the love, because we love you guys and we're very thankful that you love us back. Our next show next week is going to feature Aviator Shades. Aviator Shades is a rock group from Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. They take a lot of influence from the 80s and 90s rock and roll, and they're bringing that back into the 2010s, and they're bringing it with a vengeance. So I hope you guys tune in next week to our show with Aviator Shades, because it is going to be fantastic. And as always, before we end the show, we have to leave you with a quote. Today, our quote comes from the Queen song, Don't Stop Me Now. So, from Freddie Mercury, I'm a shooting star leaping through the sky, like a tiger defying the laws of gravity. I'm a racing car passing like Lady Godiva. I'm going to go, go, go. There's no stopping me. Alright, everybody, have yourself a great weekend, and don't let yourself be stopped by anybody when you're having a good time.
The Desert Tiger Podcast. Subscribe, rate, and review. iTunes, Google Play Music, and Stitcher. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Thanks for listening.